first tourism alumni that we have in the country.
What do you mean that the industry is not regulated?
It's because unlike other professions like the doctors, you just can't get in and be a doctor. Just like the lawyers, you just can't come in and be a lawyer, or even at the bankers today, there's some form of regulation. Here we are not regulated. Anyone just wake up, comes and joins the profession, and boom, is a profession in the tourism industry. Yet they are not trained.
So what are some of the things that you hope that this association is going to answer?
We want to push for the regulation of the industry. Everyone who is getting involved in the industry should be trained and should be a professional and should adhere to certain standards and codes that we want to bring out in the country.
Now, if we scale down to the country, we shall see that the sector is prioritized definitely for economic transformation. It is one of the fastest growing, and definitely we need to address, despite the fact that it is a private sector, the benefits are only a fraction of its potential. The benefits we are seeing right now, just a small fraction of the potential that Uganda has as far as tourism is concerned.
Since we began training, we have trained over and graduated over 7,000 students, graduates of UHTTI, and they are out working in different capacities in the industry. Now, the association, the students or the members of this association have the potential to promote the school wherever they are, through the work that they do and also through their the activities of the association. They have a potential to promote and actually strengthen the school. They have a potential to support the school in different projects. Whatever project that they choose to do with the school, they have a potential to support the school. They also are an example and a motivation and role models for students who are still studying at the institute.
The only thing that changes in the bedroom is maybe some nabui and dust. But there's nothing. That's what happens even in our hotels. Let's make our rooms very attractive. We must be creative, and they're not going to teach you everything. Like the chef was telling you here. Be creative. What is really new that you can bring on the market? Because we're in a competitive market. We are in a competitive market and competitive business. If you don't entertain that visitor here, he's going to another destination.
We're moving to 2, 1, 0.
Indeed, a lot has to be done in terms of having trained personnel in the field, because so many times, so many people come through and they probably don't know how to go about certain things, so which creates substandard services. And this is not a problem not just within the hotel industry, but pretty much everywhere, where most people just come in and do something without bothering to at least get a little bit of training to help them go about that field. But moving on, the Commissioner, Agriculture, Extension and Skills Management at the Ministry of Agriculture, Patience Rwamigisa, says the ministry is employing 3,000 people, a thing attributed to the persistent subsistence syndrome in the agriculture-based nation. Now, a team of officers from agriculture training colleges and universities, the Ministry of Agriculture and partners from the Sezakawa Agriculture Fund for Extension Education are in Kampala to devise means of improving agriculture extension delivery.
The Commissioner of Agriculture Extension and Skills Management at the Ministry of Agriculture, Patience Rwamigisa, says the current number of staff within the department may not trigger a desirable green revolution.
Studies have shown that for us to cause a green revolution in this country, we need about 25,000 technicians, agricultural technicians working with smallholder farmers on a daily basis. We have an estimated 4 million households that are in subsistence agriculture. As a department, countrywide, I have on about 3,800 extension staff. So you have 4 million households and you have 3,000 staff. So it is very difficult have a significant impact.
Ramigisa applauded Sasakawa Africa Association for sponsoring over 3,000 agriculture extension students for degree courses at Makerere University.
And the quality of the service, because these people, the person providing this service must be knowledgeable, well skilled. You know, it is one has one knowledge, another one have the skill.
Meanwhile, Makerere University Head of Department at the School of Agriculture, Professor Paul Chiwika, is not happy that a big number of agriculture extension professionals that graduate annually.
No, the number, we turn out actually quite a good number of extension agents, but most of them cannot be absorbed into the public extension because the government has its own limitations on recruitment.
Since 1995, Sasakawa Africa Association, through the Sasakawa Agriculture Fund for Extension Education, has been in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries and Makerere University to train mid-career agriculture extension professionals to upgrade to degree holders.
Agricultural extension workers in Uganda, the focus is on value chain agriculture. The focus is on ICT. The focus is on, get the needs of farmers.
Over 2,000 extension workers have so far been trained.
We require a lot of extension and education, a lot, because this is the time of takeoff, where people like farmers are listening to grow food for their stomachs, and they are turning to agribusiness.
But the current situation of the students, of the people who are now produced to go in the field, that's where the biggest challenge is. One, their attitude to agriculture has not been very okay, and therefore many of them don't mind to go to farmers directly. They want to be in offices.
I'm Nafka Farida and Setumba Douglas.
It's time for us to get into our digest now. OSA doesn't have to read a thing or two. Now, in the newspapers, I'm looking specifically at the Daily Monitor here, and we're looking at the trade wars among member states here, casting a doubt on the summit. We're looking at the East Africa community, and what we're looking at here is that the fact that the trade wars among the East African community members have put in a doubt, that the 21st ordinary in this particular case, excuse me on that, that the ESC Heads of State Summit that was slated for February. Now, of course, we've seen a number of things happen. It was, I think, cancelled twice or so, and we're looking at the fact that it was cancelled also last year in November, as it was meant to be held then, and of course, due to unclear circumstances. Now, a date has not been set so far for the Heads of State Summit. However, what they're looking at here is that we expect that it will either be held in late February or March, and that is from Simon Peter Owaka, who is the head of communications at the East African Community Secretariat. Now, he also adds that the summit is responsible for settling its own, setting its own date and agenda, which are shared at least 1 week in advance with various stakeholders. Now, Kenya's ESC and Regional Development Cabinet Secretary, that is Adan Mohammed, and the East Africa Community Secretary General Liberat, are tight-lipped on this issue, and of course a clear indication of region. What we're looking at, that on the surface of propagated integration, but beneath is pulling apart. Now, they're saying there's so much talk on integration, or regional integration, but in reality, this is not what we're seeing on ground. Now, recently, Kenya and Uganda did spar over dairy product exports that have seen the confiscation and barring entry of dairy consignments from Uganda into Kenya. Now, Uganda has threatened to retaliate by targeting a number of Kenya's goods, key among them packed juices, assorted household items, and roofing materials in a similar protectionist move. And of course, being in this particular case the topmost decision-making organ of the East Africa community, the summit meeting often sends a strong positive message, particularly to the business community. Now, failure to meet sends a very worrying message, says Richard here, who is a senior director of trade environment at the Trademark East Africa. Now, having met last in February of last year, the summit's in-tray is overflowing, casting a dark shadow on the region's integration journey. Now, the East African has learnt that the summit is supposed to discuss, or rather have a report by the Council of Ministers who met in November. Now, the report contains progress on the review of the common external tariffs and the non-tariff barriers that continue to cripple the intra-EAC trade here. Now, when it met last February, the summit directed that the council, directed the council to resolve the standoff in these various tariffs, and of course, but little success has been achieved. Now, what we're looking at here is that only the summit has the power to give direction to the sensitive issues, particularly here, the non-tariff barriers, and of course a number of things that need to be resolved, which are quite crucial to the East Africa community in terms of the opportunities that would also be seen from the African Continental Free Trade Agreement as a bloc. So if we are not solving these issues as the East Africa community, then it would be very complicated to see us move a step further and even talk about the Africa trade, and which is of course very important. So many times we've asked questions, how is this going to happen on a continental level if we're not doing this at the East African level? So issues like this, which have often come up, and of course well, we'll see how that plays out eventually. The only thing is that no one is actually coming out to talk about some of these challenges that we are facing as a community, especially now that we have the current dairy issue. And not so far ago, you know, just a couple of years back, it was probably the sugar or the rice, and you know, it keeps happening over and over again. And not so far still this year, we looked at the issue of standards as well, as many are contemplating, could it be about standards, and a number of other things that come with this, but we'll see how that plays out. However, if they are not actually dealt with or solved, and this discussion has been on for quite a while as well, on whether the talk of integration is indeed something that the East African community is willing to take on, or is just a talk, but on ground we see nothing actually happening. And the citizens of these different countries within the East African community bloc are affected. And then we get back to the situations where we think that there's too many meetings, too many summits, too many conferences, but the work that is actually done on ground is very, very wanting. As we're looking at the current situation, Rwanda, Uganda, now Kenya, Uganda, which has oftentimes come up. So I cannot exhaust that. I'm not an expert in that. Of course, we'll be getting someone there from the East Africa community here to discuss those things not so far from now. Another interesting one here, if you're looking at the new vision, they're particularly looking at 34 years of NRM, and of course they're looking at the agriculture in itself and how it has become much more productive. We're looking at development issues, and of course we're looking at great strides in the dairy sector, regardless of some of the concerns that have been got. I cannot exhaust that really. A number of things have been looked at. Really, you should look into that. Coffee as well. If we're looking at the fishing industry, which was near to collapse, but seems to be rebounding, or rather, you know, getting much better than it was. So all those numbers and statistics, as I might say, I might have also the right person to talk to us about this in regards to what we're exporting in numbers and how we are performing. Of course, that will be coming in later on after this break, as we have the ED from Uganda Export Promotion Board to discuss that and a whole lot more. Don't go away.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay. Dial *185#, select option 6, School Fees, select option 2, School Pay, select option 1, Pay Fees, enter student number, enter the amount, enter the PIN number to complete payment. Beat the back to school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money, simple, instant, secure.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Have you completed Senior 4 or Senior 6 and you want to do a 2-year certificate or a diploma course? Makerere Institute for Social Development, an affiliate to Makerere Business School, offers programs in accounting and finance, business administration, procurement and supplies management, social work and social administration, information technology, counseling and guidance, human resource, project planning and management, journalism, secretarial studies, and many others. We are located on Sa Apollo Kegwa Road, next to Oilcom Petrol Station, with a UBTEB center number.
In May 2018, Hima Cement opened its new $40 million cement factory in Nyakesi, Tororo district. The factory was in need of raw materials. The nearness to raw materials such as limestone, granite rock and clinker is vital for production sustainability. But then, their thirst for raw materials, community expectations, and a flawed land acquisition process created conflict.
ko wacharane ani akewere kijono kati sawa zina bantu bano bagenda ne bagamba ati takabaki chuse bagobe ima lovanyuma bagambe ati community.
And that's why we're driving to Mwelo Parish to interact with the local community and get to know their opinion or ideas on how the issue can be resolved for socio-economic benefits.
If there's an investor who's ready to come right now and takes over this thing, let that investor be direct.
In this two-part series, UBTEB investigates the Mwelo Rock land acquisition saga, unearthing irregularities that stalled the multi-million-dollar project.
Well, I'm glad that you're still here with us and you're watching Business Today here on UBC, Inspiring Uganda. And of course, the program is brought to you by Makerere Institute for Social Development. We're going to look into a very interesting topic. It's too wide and too huge. We cannot exhaust it. There was a time, I remember when we started out, I used to ask the gentleman with me here in studios, and that is the ED for Uganda Export Promotion Board, Elitineo. Like, what does it take when we're looking at exporting? You know, what are some of the steps and things like that? I think we should go back to that one day and see, the entire process and how it works. But thank you so much for making time with us.
Thank you.
Yes, a very, very huge topic. And so many times we link it up to how it is very important for us as an economy, to why people should appreciate, your body, especially in terms of the kind of work you do. But real quick, just a reminder for the people. Uganda Export Promotion Board. Just to remind them on your core duties and to let them know that maybe you're still on track.
Uganda Export Promotion Board's role is to facilitate the development, promotion and coordination of all export-related activities in this country. Therefore, our role has got about 4 core elements.
Okay.
One is coordinating all export-related activities in this country. Secondly, development of exports, working with different sectors, value chain players, government, private sector, international community. Another one is promotion, that once you have produced the exports, we need to go in the markets and promote them. We need to market Uganda's exports. And the other important aspect that we talk about is, again, you want to coordinate. You want to coordinate everybody. And that is underpinned by information. In business, all business companies, the challenge they face is lack of adequate, timely information. And as you know, our companies are SMEs. Yes, some even are MSMEs, micro companies. Some exporters are just individuals. You find one person coming to export. So because of this, they don't have enough information. Information is expensive because for export information, you have to go to markets abroad to look for that information. Google is not enough. Mr. Google is not enough. You can't be talking about exporting and you say I'm going to get information on Google.
Indeed. So now, just last week, you concluded an export week.
Yes.
And tell us more in what you were seeking to achieve with this, what you were seeking to address. Basically, tell us more on the events then.
Yeah, thank you. What is happening is, people know about importing a lot. And some people feel that it is the cheapest way to make money. You go to China, you go to India, you go to other places, you pick goods, you bring them, you sell them. So there is not enough awareness about exporting. And as we realize, exporting is not rocket science. Exporting is sometimes cross-border. You cross to South Sudan via Eregu, Bibia. You cross to DR Congo via Mpondwe. You cross to Kenya via Busia, Uganda, then there is Busia, Kenya, or Malaba. You cross to Tanzania via Mutukula, and you are exporting. Once you cross with Ugandan goods, those borders, you have exported. So exporting, you can begin by regional trade, cross-border, but also exporting means you can send goods to countries far off, like the EU, like Dubai, like China, like India, and other places.
Okay. So you were seeking to address these concerns.
Create public awareness to remind, to reassure that Uganda Export Promotion Board, with the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, and our Honorable Minister, Honorable Amelia Chambade, we are pushing an agenda of increasing exports, because there are 2 ways Uganda is going to make money to run service delivery, government service delivery. One is taxes, another one is exporting. Exporting will give us foreign exchange that we need, and we are not begging it for, we are not begging for it. Because when you beg, there are conditionalities.
Okay.
No one gives you free dinner.
Now, highlights on some of the things. I know you also focused on services quite intensely this time.
Yes. No, thank you very much. So during this week, what we did, we had an annual exporters conference in which we interact with the exporters. As a matter of fact, our Minister Honorable Maria Chambade was present the whole day. She actually came earlier than the participants. She was there the whole day discussing, telling these people the policies, the strategies of government in place, but also listening to the exporters. And she was writing everything that they were putting to her. So it was an interface between government, represented by Honorable Maria Chambade, and the private sector, who were mainly the exporters, but logistics people. Then we also had manufacturing business clinic. We had services business clinic. We also had the agriculture business clinic. And then later we had the Presidential Exporters Award, in which Rowena Kajumba herself was among the best Ugandans that have contributed from the media to export growth, and you deserve it, and congratulations on
so
air.
much.
Our method was meticulous. There was a team of Uganda Investment Authority, Uganda Export Promotion Board, Ministry of Trade, Private Sector Foundation, UNBS, and others who were vetting every process, and they gave awards.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Now, you ask me about services. You know, services are very, very important, but for a long time we had not talked about services because the challenge has been that we don't have data. We don't have statistical data that we can use. We have always been using estimates from Bank of Uganda, and now we have committed, and our minister has tasked Uganda Export Promotion Board that we have to have data on services, but also we must promote services, because tourism is already promoted, but tourism is one of the services. We have many, many other services: education services, ICT, transport and logistics, you know, meaning warehousing, you know, you have performance and arts. When you see people like Anna Kansime, Salvador, you know, and musicians, all these are services. And we have more, even other professional services, the people who are working abroad in different facilities in the world, experts. So we need to promote services, because they are bringing a lot of money. They are bringing more than $2 billion per year. The estimates
So why do we say that this has, I don't want to say the word, I don't want to say ignored, but for the lack of a better word.
Yes.
Why do we see that the services sector itself we've sort of lagged behind in promoting it, because it reflects back in terms of what we actually export in terms of services? Or is it that people have not understood what the services?
No, they are about two things, and your concerns are respected very well. Uganda originally exported agriculture, primary agricultural exports. Only that was the thing. Every time you talked about Uganda's exports, in before like 15 years ago, the list was mainly agricultural exports, agricultural merchandise exports, primary, unprocessed. Now, Uganda has graduated from that, that we have added on the list of exports manufactured. And as you know, manufactured exports are very, very important. Most countries that have graduated out of poverty have had to export manufactured exports. So the next level is we are now moving into services, because services generate a lot of money. And in Uganda's case, services account for almost half of our GDP. So that is so important. Why are we consuming these services domestically and we cannot export them? Yeah, so we need to export services, and because other countries are exporting services and making a lot of money out of them. So yeah, more we need to have statistics to appreciate them, but we need to take them abroad. And the Uganda Export Promotion Board is finalizing a handbook for marketing services abroad.
Okay, take us through your performance.
Yes.
For the last, let's just focus on the last 2 years,
Yes.
maybe, in terms of performance, and then maybe you can in there throw in some of the top, if we could look at the top exports that,
Yes.
that we actually do have.
And this is very, very important. You know, we had challenges in the market.
Yes.
Should I use the word trade war? Trade wars, you know, while China and the USA had trade wars, even members of East African community had their kind of, you had language like some borders are impassable now. You had of language, plus also the political challenges which are ever present in some of our developing countries.
Yeah.
So they were bound to affect our exports. But I can tell you one thing, that total merchandise exports as recorded by URA, by UBOS and the Bank of Uganda were $3.6 billion US. This year, despite the challenges that we have had, by November, Uganda had recorded $3.7 billion US. Meaning that even by November, before even we ended the year, and we are getting the statistics soon, because then you have to go to the end of the year to record, all the exports. We had exported more than $100 million US, despite, in spite of, nevertheless, all these challenges, we can use all the English. We had already exported more than $100 million US. So there is no doubt that we exported, this year we exported more than last year, regardless of the challenges. And I think this is so important. We need to congratulate the exporters. We need to congratulate the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, but actually congratulate our Honorable Minister, Honorable Maria Chambadi. I think maybe that is the very reason, I don't know President's decisions, but the very reason that all our ministers were retained, while others were changed, our ministers were retained. Because Honorable Maria Chambadi negotiated an MOU and signed it with the DR Congo, and that is very, very important, because DR Congo is a very important market for us, and it's very near us. We have been having a lot of informal exports, but we think that we will have more formal exports.
So some of the top, if we're looking at in terms of performance, what exports can we, as you Export Promotion Board and the Ministry, you'll probably, let me use the word, brag about in terms of what we're actually exporting and what it brings in.
Again, it is very exciting. Like I told you, that we used to export agricultural products, and as always, coffee has been number one, and it's still number one. But let me tell you, in terms of number one, manufactured exports are bringing more than 1 billion. So manufactured exports and value-added exports are bringing more export receipts than coffee. So that's exciting. So when I look at the top, manufactured exports are sorted, then I see over 1 billion, then I come to coffee, but before I come to coffee, then I go to mining. We never used to export a lot of products from mining, yet we have a lot of, and people have been asking me, and I want to answer this question, and when we leave even this studio, you help me answer the question. We have a lot of gold. We have a modern gold refinery in Entebbe. Busia has gold. Karamoja has gold. Buweju has gold. There are even other places, Mubende here, a lot of gold. And there are other places I don't know. We have a lot of gold, and we have a lot of more minerals that we can export. The other important, and I can tell you that we also need to even explore other minerals, because we have other minerals like iron ore. We have a lot of iron ore. We have also rare red earth. Rare red earth is so important, can be used in science and technology, in ICT, for more than 220 uses. So actually we should rush as there are delays in the mining oil. We should run and mine coltan and mine rare red earth and iron ore. So we have minerals, and we have them, and we will keep exporting them. But also we have fish. Fish had gone down because of what we say in Uganda, envuba mbi, fishing badly. Now fish factories had closed. Everything had gone down. People were fishing mothers, yet they are supposed to be bleeding. People were fishing immature fish, claiming that it is mokene or silverfish, and there was a lot of smuggling. There was a lot of shooting each other in the lakes because of fish. And the president decided that our water has to be protected. And the president decided that the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Fisheries and Industry, the Fisheries Department, will be working with the UPD section for marine to protect the fish. I tell you, new factories are opening. We are exporting more than 170 million US dollars of fish, and this is so good because fish, you don't need to feed it. It is not asking you for herbicides or pesticides. Because
then I was going to ask you, because I like that you answered my question on the minerals real quick. But now, how sustainable is this? Do we have the right equipment for the people that are exporting this fish? Because we've often had the issue of standards. The other day, the European Union, not so far, so many times in terms of the horticulture, number of things. So how is this going down for the fish?
The fish is very okay. I think we have standards. In 1998 and 99, the European Union felt that we had challenges with fishing. They came in, they inspected, they did audits. We agreed to work hard together, and we addressed. That was 1998, 99. So our challenge with fish has not been with the standards. The challenge has been with that we don't have enough fish because people were doing wrong things. So we are okay with standards. And also let me mention, most of our other products also, we have standards. That's why even European Union, even the United Arab Emirates, even China, India, up to USA now, and the region, the ESC, COMESA, they are buying our products. The challenge has been, and I have said it, the issue of the middleman. The middleman doesn't mind about standards. All he wants is money. So he will buy from everybody without even cleaning. So we want to eliminate the middleman. And we have committed that for the next 3 years, Uganda Export Promotion Board will eliminate the middleman. He's a difficult person to eliminate, the middleman, that one. But we'll try to eliminate the middleman by linking producers and exporters together. And we have already started.
Interesting. Now, of course, we have a lot to discuss. Value addition is one of the things you're looking at. Now we're talking fish. Of recent, there's someone that I think has been doing a lot of deliveries to someone who owns a restaurant, and I figured, instead of getting my fish from the road, I get in touch with these people that clean the fish, package it quite well. Even when there could be an extra cost, you feel like it's worth it.
Value addition,
these are things that Ugandans are beginning to appreciate.
And you see, let me tell you this. I use the example of Italy, or Italy. You know, Italy, you like their leather. Most men and women like their leather bags, their leather wallets, their leather shoes, their textiles and apparel. They began from cottage industries, just cottage industries. So the Italians first liked the quality, the standards. And when they liked the quality, foreigners went in and bought them. So if you want to get quality, it begins at home. It's like charity, it begins at home. We will have to first like quality, observe quality, demand quality, pay for quality, and then it goes in the market. But let me tell you one thing. We are now moving there. I went to different markets, including United Arab Emirates, in Dubai, and I visited more than 20 stores. Stores I mean supermarkets. We call them stores, we call them warehouses in different countries, chain stores. I found that Nile perch was #2 after salmon. Salmon is the most respected, expensive fish in the world, if you should know. The #2 is Nile perch. And I think this is so exciting that Ugandans should clap for themselves, that Nile perch is #2 in the world. Is so good because salmon has always been #1. And who knows, once we keep promoting and explaining to them the nutritional value of Nile perch coming from original waters of Lake Victoria and the source of River Nile, people will make Nile perch #1. And that will be exciting.
Okay. Now, let us look at, we're in 2020.
Yes.
Yes. I don't want to, exhaust and anticipate much, but I want you to give us a picture or a plan on where you're headed as Uganda Export Promotion Board, because we're looking at, for example, what countries you anticipate to work with in this particular case, because you're trying to find, to work on that issue we talk about, on the balance of trade here. So the key countries and things like that, basically your plan for 2020.
Thank you very much. 2020, as I hear people call it, is a year important for us.
Yes.
The government, NDP 3, National Development Plan 3, as part of Uganda Vision 2040. Uganda Vision 2040 is divided in National Development Plans. We call them NDP. And we are finishing NDP 2 to start NDP 3 in this year, 2020. And this is very, very important. We are taking stock of the achievements of NDP 2 and entering NDP 3. So like all government agencies, ministries and departments, we are required, all of us, to prepare a new strategic plan. Uganda Export Promotion Board's strategic plan falls under the National Export Development Strategy, which is called the NEDS, prepared by our ministry, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. And we are looking at some of the following aspects. One, the NDP, NED's National Export Development Strategy mentions states which countries should be targets, and we are targeting them. One of them, I begin with the block of regions, EAC COMESA. EAC COMESA. EAC COMESA, some of the countries will include Kenya, will include Tanzania, will include Burundi, will include Rwanda, EAC COMESA, DR Congo, South Sudan, even Sudan, and we will be expanding to the region. We have in the previous 2 years gone to Egypt more than 4 times to look for markets, and we have markets. We have the demands from the government of Egypt as government wanting to buy products, but also the private sector. Then we have United Arab Emirates. Then we have the EU. Then we are targeting China as well. Then we are targeting India. But as Uganda Export Promotion Board, we are moving as far as South Korea, Republic of Korea. As a matter of fact, we have a project we are working on, supported by the World Bank, where we are moving, supported by the African Development Bank. World Bank is a shareholder of the African Development Bank, but supported by African Development Bank to push exports into that region, South Korea. So these will be very, very important. And I'm telling you, our exports have been expanding into these countries. We are trading. We buy from them, they buy from us. Trade is an exchange. So we buy from them, they buy from us. So that is the focus. The other focus, which has been stated by the President, is value addition and manufacturing. And as you see, I am trying to show you that we have to focus on exporting those products. The other important aspect also is mineral beneficiation. That is for NDP, but which when it goes down to NEDs, then we look at exports. So we are looking at that. But also we are looking at producing more agricultural products because our weather is good. We still will export agricultural products, especially food, to the region. And it will be important for the region.
Awesome. Our time has run out, so final words to the people that are watching. So you look into your camera and give the people a final word in regards to this discussion.
The public should know that you can export. All of you can export, and exporting is not rocket science, because exporting is cross-border. You can export across the border. Some of you people who live across the borders, you can export and get foreign exchange by crossing the border. But also we can export to regional and target and international markets. Uganda has the capacity to export. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you need to produce for the market. Produce for the market. Households that will not produce for the market, I don't know how they will live in future. Because you must earn money by your hard work.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much. There we have it, and he's the ED, Uganda Export Promotion Board. Here is next time to come here and discuss a number of issues. Of course, we shall get into that other discussion on the entire process and how easy it is to get into exporting. But that is the plan for 2020.
Yes. 2020.
Something was telling me, no, I shouldn't do the 2020. But thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate you. And my time has also run out. So we do come Monday to Friday, 9 to 10 a.m., bringing you the latest in business. Of course, this was just a follow-up on the Export Week, but also finding out, progress with the Uganda Export Promotion Board. So I cannot exhaust that. Until next time, my name is Rowena Kajumba. From me and the entire team, we wish you a good day. That was good.
Have you completed Senior 4 or Senior 6 and you want to do a 2-year certificate or a diploma course? Makerere Institute for Social Development, an affiliate to Makerere Business School, offers